Hello, my name is Alison and I'm one of the learning facilitators here at Derby Museums. Now, today in the weekend make activity, we are going to make and create a miniature garden. Now, first off, I would love you to take note of nature. See if you can spot any little flowers or plants that are growing outside your door, maybe outside the door to your garden. Now, if you don't have a garden, don't worry. You can spot nature, little flowers, little plants actually growing in a park or on a walk that you may go on with your family. So let's together take note of nature. Now, I did say we are going to create a miniature garden, so let's create that now. First off, you want to think about the type of garden you'd like to design. Now, you may be inspired by your own garden, or you might be inspired by a garden such as maybe Pickford House Museum's garden. That's a beautiful garden if you've never been there. So, maybe you could use your imagination and create a completely new design. First up, we need our containers. Now, it can be any container, but it does need to be glass. And look what we've got here. We've just got some recycled glasses here. So open the container and make sure that the container is nice and clean and dry. Now, the first thing we're going to pop in are pebbles. So here are our pebbles that we've collected, and we want to line the container with some pebbles. And that's just going in the bottom here. Okay, they don't have to be too big. They just have to line the bottom of the container. And the reason for that is for drainage, because we are going to put water into this container at the end. So, as you can see, we've lined the bottom of our miniature garden container ready for the rest of the items. The next thing is, I've got here some grit. Now, you can either use grit or you can use activated charcoal. So I'm going to pop in, just get your hands involved and sprinkle on some grit. That's the next thing to go in, and that's filling in the gaps left by the pedals. Now, this grit is going to act as filtration, again, when we pop in the water near the very end. So look, we have our pebbles and we have our grit. And like I said, you could use activated charcoal. It's the same type of thing. So I'm going to pop this down here. Now we're going to get really messy. This I love. This is potting soil. And it's very crumbly. It's really cool and it's really nice. Now we just want a thin layer here. But you may want to be a little bit creative, because here we can start creating hills and mountains. So on one side you may want it to be quite flat, and then on the other side you may want to build up mounds and things. So we have definition in the container. Now, here are our plants. Now, all I've done is found some beautiful plants in our gardens. So I'm gonna start popping in the biggest ones first. This is quite big, so I'm going to start planting. Whoops! I'm going to start planting our plants in here. So we're going to make a little bit of a hole. I'm going to put that in. Okay. Let's decide on what we want in our container. So I'm going to have a little bit of greenery, these here, and I'm also going to have this one here. So I'm going to start putting this one in next. We don't want to overplant, but we just want it to look like a miniature garden. So the bigger your container, obviously, the more plants you can put in. Now, you sometimes see miniature gardens planted with cactus or air plants or succulents. They're the chunky plants. They're really nice. So you in our miniature garden, we're just going to use some plants from the garden. Now, we've got some moss here, and I'm just going to break it up just to make our landscape look a bit more like a woodland. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, it's all coming together. I'm going to put that aside. Now, depending on your container, if it's a big container, you could use bark from a tree. You could use really big pebbles. We've got some shells here. I'm going to put the shells in because I like the shells. What I would like to put in are some toys, just to bring nature in. So we've got a little grasshopper here. And I'm just going to add some more shells because I do like the white against the green and the brown potting soil. Okay. So we've got our flowers, we have our greenery, and we've got some beautiful shells and a little toy grasshopper here. So last off, you want to spray your miniature garden. As you can see, you don't want to put too much in. Just make sure that the soil is wet and the flowers are wet. And here we have it. We won't put the lid back on. We will just have it like this, open to the elements. Now, make sure that this is wiped off. And when you're done, you can pop it in your window, on your windowsill, but not in direct sunlight. Then you can admire your miniature garden. Now, remember that National Garden Week is coming up soon on the 27th of April. So why don't you get involved in that? Or connect to nature and connect to the museum by taking a photograph of your miniature garden and tweeting it, sharing it. Well, thank you for joining me in making and creating a miniature garden. Until we meet again, bye-bye.